I'm Carrie Harbinson from UNC Kenan-Flagler Business School, and we're here today with Jeff Schomburger, Chief Sales Officer at P&G. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. So tell us a little bit about your role at P&G.
Probably the most important part of my role as Chief Sales Officer is bringing the voice of the customer into the senior management of the company to make sure that as we plan our initiatives and we plan our strategies that we're crystal clear on what our customers' expectations are and what's required to win with our customers all around the world. And then there's really four key work areas that I spend most of my time on. The first is developing the strategies market by market so that we can win with our customers, make sure we have winning strategies. The second is to make sure we have sufficient capabilities, whether that's selling, conceptual selling, applied analytics, shopper-based design, insights capabilities that we need to influence and win with customers. The third area is innovation, getting clear on what's next in terms of how shoppers are going to shop and what retail channels and trends are shifting towards. Today, obviously, that's e-commerce and e-business. There's also a big shift to small stores around the world versus larger stores. We have to be prepared to win in the future of retailing as well. And then finally, and what my boss would probably say most important, is developing talent, identifying top potential performers, career pathing them effectively, and making sure that we have the best talent in every role around the world.
What are some of the most rewarding aspects of your job, as well as some of the more difficult aspects?
Probably the most rewarding aspect of my job is when we win. When we deliver the targets, when we deliver the year, deliver the quarter, when we make a big sale, at a really big, important customer. And in addition, when you see someone get promoted and you've coached them, you've worked with them, and you've seen these young people perform and get ahead and continue to get ahead. So results and probably promoting people are the two most rewarding things. The toughest part about a selling role is you don't win all the time. The toughest part is losing. We're going to win about 70% of the time, and that's what we need to do in order to meet our targets. But 30% of your time you're going to lose, and I hate losing. Probably the second toughest thing about my job is some of the negotiations that we have with our customers. They can get really tough. They can get positional. And we typically are trying to find that win-win, but sometimes you just can't. And those negotiations are really tough, but we have great negotiation training as well.
Tell us a little bit about your experience as a UNC alum.
What I really love about Carolina is the overall experience, okay? The culture here, the campus, okay, the social interactions that you have. And I think what was really most beneficial is that balance we have here of high expectations on the academic side and rigorous educational and scholastic achievement, but at the same time, an unbelievable amount of social opportunities, great athletics and all these things. So I like to do it all. I wanted to be really good at school, and I wanted to have a heck of a lot of fun. And what I learned here was to balance that, to be disciplined, right? To be focused. And I think that discipline of being really successful academically and having a great social life and going to all the great sporting activities that we have here on campus just helped me be a really well-rounded person and get things done efficiently and effectively so I could do it all.
P&G has been closely partnered with UNC Kenan-Flagler for many years. What do you think is in our collective DNA that has kept our partnership so strong?
The students here are just a good fit for what we're about at Procter & Gamble. The values of the kids here, the integrity of the kids here, these kids want to do the right thing. Secondly, the Chapel Hill students work hard. They want to win, and they're passionate about winning. But they're also collaborative. They're team players. They're very comfortable taking the leadership role, but also being a great follower. And I think those are some of the things that we find that make Chapel Hill very interesting.
What qualities and skills does P&G look for when hiring top talent?
Well, what we look for in students probably starts with leadership and evidence of leadership skills in your past, where you've been able to influence others to follow you. That'd be certainly right up there. Next would probably be problem-solving skills, okay? Being able to look at sets of data and draw conclusions, to connect the dots, systemic thinking, strategic thinking, these kinds of things. Collaboration skills, people who are comfortable taking a leadership role or a follower role. Hard work, perseverance, really important. We want to hire people with grit who can overcome challenges and fail, 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 and then get that win, but come back fighting hard every time.
From your perspective, what do you feel are some of the most important skills and capabilities needed as a global business leader?
You know, as a global business leader, I think some of the most important skills are listening, valuing others, having humanity, having empathy, being able to make people feel comfortable, give people confidence, and really just to add value to what they're trying to do. And once you build that trust and you have the confidence of people around the world, they will start to share better insights. You'll get more straight talk. You know, you'll be able to discuss the undiscussable and the types of things that help you define winning or define problems. Because once a problem is defined clearly, we can solve that problem. But if you're not getting that openness and you've got, you know, the people don't trust you around the world, that you're going to support them and help do the right thing, you know, you're not going to get the best information. So I think being able to bring the best out of others and be sensitive and knowledge of them and being self-aware of yourself to build that trust, to get those best insights and information so that we can make the best business decisions.
Tell us a little bit about your experience working across cultures as a global business leader.
Well, I lead a team of about 12 vice presidents around the world in different regions or on different business units, all in the sales function. And these are representatives from Latin America, Europe, China, Japan, Germans, you know, a very diverse group of people. Well, they're also very smart, very talented, very tough, just what you want on your leadership team. Well, many times we have to come to a decision on a business plan or a business choice. And probably the toughest part of my job is to make sure everybody is heard and everybody feels like they're getting their fair share of the say. But then I have to make that decision. And for example, one decision we made recently was to stop moving our people across business units so much. Okay, for the last 15 years, we were moving people from beauty care to maybe fabric care and then over to the paper products division. Well, our competitors are typically single industry competitors like Kimberly-Clark in paper, Colgate in oral care. What we found was that our people didn't have the mastery, the depth of the industry and category understanding that our competitors had because our career pathing was across the sectors. We valued that at the time. We made a big shift. In some countries, that made a lot of sense, like the US and Europe, where we have larger portfolios and people can career path effectively within those sector business units. In other parts of the world, like Asia Pacific, Middle East Africa, we don't have the broad portfolios, so a more corporate career path makes sense. So bringing the team to agree on one way forward was very difficult, but in the end, we're going to win now by category and by sector, and that's how we're going to career path. So some people were happy, some people weren't, but you got to make a decision.
What do you wish you had known or had been better prepared for in terms of your competencies as a leader in sales?
Probably the toughest thing that I had to learn on the fly was negotiation skills, negotiation styles. But what you learn over time, that these positional arguments and these negotiating styles are really just part of the dance. It's in the culture of their countries and in the culture of their business model to have tough negotiations. They bring it across like it is personal. They make it business and personal to try to get an edge in the negotiation. Well, until you really understand all those nuances, you tend to take it personally, or you don't quite know what's behind that argument. So what really took some time, and I wish I had prepared even better, was to really be able to sift through what matters during a negotiation. What are the hard lines and soft lines, hard points and soft points? I think that's an area that we can all improve our training early on, because some of those things I just had to learn on the fly that I wished I'd have known these different negotiation styles a little bit better.
What challenges and opportunities do you feel like students should seek out today to help enable them to navigate a global business environment?
You know, I recommend students study abroad. I think that's just a fantastic opportunity. I sure wish I had done that when I was in college. I think internships, paid or unpaid, just the chances to get inside companies or to get roles, you know, that might give you the experience to work across countries and across cultures. You know, the other thing with social media and the way to connect today with different groups, you know, there's got to be ways through social networking that you can contact or get in touch with people from different cultures or different countries and try to make those friendships and contacts and just seek to understand, to learn, and understand different ways of looking at things.
Why does every graduate need those cross-cultural skills and global competencies, even if they don't see themselves pursuing a global career?
You know, the way the world's moving and the pace that the world's changing, you know, every industry, it feels like, is becoming global. So while you may not have a big global role, you know, odds are in any career, you're going to have interactions with people from other countries and other cultures, whether they're small interactions, transactional interactions, or planning type interactions, or just a buyer and a seller. You know, who knows? So I think the way the world's heading, there's going to be more global interaction versus less.
From your perspective, what do you really value or appreciate about the global education initiative that has been developed here at UNC Kenan-Flagler?
What I like about the Global Education Initiative, it's got, I think, a really appropriate balance on the business skills, but also the cultural and the communication skills. And from my experience at Procter & Gamble, there's a lot of smart people. We have a lot of smart people at P&G. We're able to recruit a lot of smart people. What I find a little bit harder is to have both the smarts and the savvy, the smarts and the social intelligence, the smarts and the humanity, the smarts and the relationship building skills, the ability to listen, to seek to understand, right, to operate effectively across cultures. And that's where the magic lies, and that's what this model teaches, the best of both.
Thanks so much for joining us, Jeff. It was a pleasure to have you here.